Hello everybody, welcome to my 2016 Game of the Year video. And in this video, you've probably seen other Game of the Year videos. I'm going to tell you about my top 10, because it's a nice round number. Top 10 games of the last year that I really enjoyed. And we're just going to get right down to it and start it off with our number 10 pick. This game is probably the biggest phenomenon of the year, from a gaming standpoint at least. People have adored this game. Millions of people still play this game, even though it came out way earlier in the year. And a lot of people would consider this their favorite game of the year and maybe one of their favorite games of all time. But for me personally, there was a lot of other stuff that came out during the year that just held my attention more and that I just gravitated to a little bit more aggressively. But I am more than happy to give this game its props, as I did play it quite a bit at the time it came out. So what is that game? Number 10 on the list is Overwatch. Besides a certain pocket monster simulator, this game is the biggest phenomenon of 2016. So considering I love first-person shooters, it's fitting that it managed to suck me in as well. Every character delivers a completely different gameplay experience from the next, but every playstyle manages to be fun and valuable. Each of the characters are excellent not only from a gameplay perspective, but they were also delightful to get to know. Whether it's running around with my boy Lucio or squealing with glee when Ana gets play of the game, it was rarely a moment that this game did not give me joy. It is more than deserving of all the praise it continues to get, and it sits confidently as my 10th favorite game of the year. Big thanks to Blizzard for releasing Overwatch and giving us some really great characters and some really great gameplay to go along with that. But on to the number 9 pick. This is another first-person shooter. But this is one that got a lot more hate than Overwatch did. Overwatch is almost universally loved, but this next game got a lot of dislikes, I'll say, on its reveal trailer. But all that hate early on in its announcement, the game still came out really great, and I really shout out to the developer of this game. They did a great job this year, and I think they should be commended for it. So number 9 is gonna be Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. While the franchise has seen historic levels of hate this past year, I have always been a fan of the Call of Duty franchise. This year's installment was just as solid as years past, but the additions this year really spoke to me. Its single-player campaign made me relate to its characters so deeply that once all their fates were revealed, I found myself shedding tears. And besides an emotional story, the gameplay structure of the campaign gave me some much appreciated freedom. Add to that Zombies mode that allows me to pop heads to the tune of the Gap Band, and the familiar chaos of multiplayer, and you have one of my favorite installments in the series in years. Big thanks to Infinity Ward, including some of those new Naughty Dog members y'all hired in the last year or so. Big reason of why I think this game is so fantastic in the single player campaign. But yeah, on to the next game. Not a shooter, but we're sticking in the first person perspective. This game doesn't have as much of the budget as the last two games, but I will argue that this game has just as much heart, if not more so. So which game is this that I'm talking about? Well, let me tell you. Number 8 on the list is Firewatch. Games like these have historically been few and far between. As the art form matures, we are seeing more games tackle mature and complex themes like Firewatch. Besides the game having gorgeous art design, an immersive UI, and one of the most gut-punching beginnings of all time, the voice acting really took me by surprise. The way that Henry and Delilah's relationship develops throughout the course of the game made me feel emotions that games rarely ever evoke in me. While I found the ending bittersweet, I also felt that that was kind of the point. Life doesn't always give you the answer to every question, and sometimes you have to just enjoy what is given to you. And boy, did I enjoy what Campo Santo gave to us all in Firewatch. And big thanks to Campo Santo for releasing Firewatch. Great game, fantastic game. If you haven't played it yet, you can find it on sale and it won't take you too long to beat. It's really something worth experiencing if you're a fan of the art form. So on to the next game. Going back to first-person shooters, surprise, but this game I really felt was really special. Gave me a lot of vibes of like Half-Life 2. The campaign for this game really impressed me. I knew I was gonna get something good, but I didn't think it would be good in the way that it ended up being. And the talent behind this game is, leaps and bounds over so many other people. They have a really good pedigree to them. But what is this game I'm talking about? That game? Titanfall 2. Knowing that much of their team was responsible for the Modern Warfare series, I was confident that Respawn Entertainment had the talent to make a great single-player campaign in Titanfall 2. And indeed, they did deliver. While short, the campaign is a tightly paced compilation of increasingly awesome and innovative moments, and they aren't just visually arresting, as they add new gameplay mechanics throughout. Add to that a brilliantly simplified multiplayer with loads of depth, and you have one of the greatest shooters of 2016. And big thanks to Respawn Entertainment for releasing Titanfall 2 this year. Fantastic single player campaign. Some of the set pieces in there reminded me of Singularity, which is a really cool PS3 shooter on that generation you guys should go back and check out. Or Raven Software release a remaster if they could. Activision. But yeah, anyway, great game in Titanfall 2. Great single player, great multiplayer. But on to our next game. Finally, we're out of the first person perspective for this title. You know, I like other games sometimes, but this game is it's on a lot of people's game of the year list as well. Another shorter title, and to be honest, considering the previous developer's work didn't hit me as much, I'm surprised that this one came through and just got me so hard and so quickly. But I really enjoyed this game, and the game that's number 6 on my list is Inside. Inside is a masterpiece by so many measures. Its art design, while primarily monochromatic, manages to impress within every setting and character. Its gameplay, while very simple and nearly identical to Limbo, manages to allow the player to do increasingly impressive feats. Also, its narrative is so minimalistic that it leaves the player with many more questions than answers. Add one of the most baffling endings that I've ever seen in a video game, you have what I consider to be the best independent game of 2016. Congratulations to Playdead, and thank you for making such a wonderful game, such a great little masterpiece of a thing. So yeah, big ups to you, Playdead. I hope you enjoy all the awards you're about to get as well from other people. But on to our next game. Our next game might be a controversial choice for a lot of people. I know this game might have sold pretty well, but a lot of the critical reception just didn't really treat this game very well. I'm not going to say they're wrong for it. You know, that's their opinion. I'm not going to shoot them down for it. But I happen to personally really love this game. It was a watershed moment for me, as you'll hear me talk about in the piece. But yeah, big ups to my number 5 game of the year, and that game is Mafia 3. I love so many different games for so many different reasons, but even I can recognize when I fall in love with a game that isn't quite perfect. Mafia 3 is one of those games. I love the tale of Lincoln Clay's revenge. It's straightforward, but its details is what made me very interested. Diving deeper into Vito Scaletta's backstory, listening to the voice on the radio go off on one of his anti-white supremacist rants, seeing the confidence and swagger of Lincoln as he interacts with other characters. Despite issues others had with moment-to-moment gunplay, I found it to be fun and functional. Despite issues others had with repetitive mission structure, I enjoyed it. It took the outpost from Far Cry 3 through 4 and made it its core gameplay loop, which I loved. But more importantly, the fact that this game tackles issues of race so directly and effectively is a watershed moment for video game narrative. And I hope that Mafia 3 is remembered more for its overwhelming successes rather than its faults. And a big thank you to Hangar 13 for creating Mafia 3. And shout out to, you know, your lead writer and just everyone who worked on that game. It was really hard to pull off, you know, some strong topics like that and pull it off so well without or with little cringe involved. Really great game. And I enjoyed the gameplay despite, you know, some people's problems with it. But on to the number 4 game of the year. This is another departure from the first person theme that apparently has been set for the rest of this video. This game is another third person game, just like Mafia. But this game kind of does the complete opposite of Mafia from a tonal perspective. And because of that, that's why I like it. I didn't expect to love this game so much. I was, you know, a little bit intrigued during the announcement, but once it came out and took the world by storm, or not by storm, took the world by flurry, let's go with that. Yeah, the game turned out to be really great, and I'm just happy that it came out. So number 4 on my game of the year list is Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 2 is different from Watch Dogs in just about every way, and that's why I love it. Marcus Holloway is such a relatable, charismatic, and fun character that he makes nearly every action of the game more fun. Even the rest of DedSec is endearing in each their own way. This is also one of the first open world games that I've played that made stealth just as fun and viable of an option as combat. I've used my drones and hacking abilities just as much as I've used my combat abilities. This is a world that I enjoy just walking around, taking selfies and surfing on cars in. Not just because its tone is one of absolute fun, but also because it's much more subtle in its darkness. Unlike other open world games, like its predecessor in GTA 5, the game doesn't hammer you over the head with oppressive moments in its world and characters. Instead, it lets you use a drone to solve a laser puzzle while listening to DJ Quick. And that's why I love this game so much and have chosen it as one of my favorite games of the year. Big thank you to Ubisoft Montreal for releasing Watch Dogs 2. Funny how these non-American developers are so good at commentary on America. Funny how that works. But yeah, really great game, Watch Dogs 2. I'm actually still in the middle of it right now. I can't wait to play some more of it. It's proving to be a really great hit. But on to our next game. We have another third-person shooter, surprise, surprise. Or you could argue that this isn't as traditional as a third-person shooter. This game, I've been a fan of the franchise for many, many, many years, since before puberty. And I'm 22, so do the math. But yeah, this game is a fantastic entry in the series. Hopefully it's a great new beginning for the series. But what new beginnings? What game are we talking? I'll just tell you, it's Ratchet & Clank. Since size matters way back on the PSP, I've been a fan of Ratchet & Clank. So I was very much so looking forward to this PlayStation 4 remaster of the original game, and it even managed to surpass my expectations. The blend of platforming, third-person shooting, and a ridiculous sense of humor with its crazy weapons has been perfected here. After playing more than half a dozen games in the series, the fact that this formula still manages to deliver so much fun to me is impressive. Add one of the most fun platinum trophies I've earned all year, and you have what is hopefully a fantastic new start for one of PlayStation's greatest franchises. Big thank you to Insomniac Games for Ratchet & Clank. It's a great game. Surprise, surprise, Insomniac makes great games. Yeah, y'all did a good job on this one. Really addictive. Had no problem just going right back in for a second playthrough for that platinum trophy. And also shout out to the movie that this came out in conjunction with. I actually enjoyed the movie. If you're a fan of the series, it's very much well worth it. But if not, then, you know, it's pretty good. It's like a DreamWorks movie. It's not Pixar level. It's like DreamWorks level, but it's still pretty good. TJ Fixman wrote it. He works on the game, so it's like really good writing. Watch the movie. It's on Netflix right now as I record this, so watch the movie. But besides Ratchet and Clank, there are other games I like. We're at 2 more games that I like this year over all the other ones I've talked about. Number 2 is going to be another long-running franchise that I've been a fan of for years. And this is the quote-unquote culmination. We'll see if you played that epilogue. You'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is the so-called end of this story for now. And what a ride it was seeing the conclusion of this. And couldn't be more happier to have seen these characters grow over the years. And I'm so happy to see what the developer will do next. What game am I talking about? Man, I do all these pitches every time. I'll just tell you, it's this guy right here, Uncharted 4. My love for Uncharted 4 snuck up on me. I've been a fan of the franchise for years, but by the end of this game's epilogue, I realized just how much I cared about Nate, Elena, and the rest of the crew. Their graphical detail, performances, and set pieces are all top-notch, and Naughty Dog continues to prove that they are the most talented developer in the industry. But besides giving Nathan Drake the most fitting of send-offs, they also delivered a fantastic multiplayer mode. I continue to surprise myself by how much I kept coming back after each content update, and its recently added survival co-op mode is sure to take up even more of my free time. It's hard to deny just how perfect of a package that Naughty Dog delivered in Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Yes, Uncharted 4 is such a great game! Shout out to Naughty Dog. Y'all got another hit on your hands with that one. That's all y'all got. That's all y'all make now. Y'all don't make mediocre games. But yeah, Uncharted 4, Thief's End, one of the greatest games of the year. That story really hit me. I cried at least twice in that game, or maybe shed a tear. I don't know if I sobbed, but yeah, good shit. On to the last game of the year. I will tell you about that. But first, there were a hell of a lot of games I played over the last year. And I just want to give a quick shout out to just a handful of them. So before we go into the first game, let me just give a shout out to all of my honorable mentions that I either didn't play enough of or didn't technically come out this year. So let's give a shout out to all of those in this package right now. It's okay. Maybe in the next year we'll get to dance. But anyway, let's talk about the number one game for me of the year. This is another long-running entry in a series that's been long-running. But I never really played any of the other games. I never really had an interest in them, to be completely honest. But this game just struck a chord with me. I don't know if it's the fact that its E3 demos, really struck a chord with me. If it tapped into some other games that I played back in the day, which you'll hear about in the package. But yeah, this game just hit all the right notes for me. It had combinations of gameplay elements and story elements from other types of games. But it struck a chord with me, and the more and more I thought about it, the more I'm like, well, yeah, this is probably my favorite game of the year when it comes down to it. So which game is that? Well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. Nah, I'm not gonna do anything to anybody. It's Doom. I've made it painfully obvious that I love Doom. But even I was surprised that it made it to the top of my list. But the more I thought about it, the more sense it made. I love first-person shooters. Its varied weapons, platforming, and abundance of collectibles was reminiscent of Ratchet & Clank. Its hilariously ridiculous tone kept me just interested enough in the world to want to keep running through demons. In addition, its mechanics fed into each other in brilliant ways. Its frenetic combat tapped into adolescent Quake-live reflexes that I assumed were long forgotten. And its melee finishers were so gleefully brutal that I found myself excited to see the next one. I even adored the multiplayer, which many wrote off as a soulless addition to a stellar campaign. This all combines to make one of the greatest first-person shooter games of the last decade, and my definite game of the year. And there you have it. Doom is my favorite game of the year. It surprised me too. Doom is one of those games where it sneaks up on you, but the more and more you think about just how great that game is, it all just makes sense at the end of the day. So yeah, that's my Game of the Year 2016 video. Look out for some more videos, video game related or not. I tend to have some type of video game slant to a lot of my videos. So, just watch around the channel, see what I got. And I appreciate you guys watching this one for this long. I make a lot of long ass videos, so I apologize if you actually have a life to get to. But yeah, that's the end of this one. I will see you guys in the next one. Y'all have a great day, a great year, and great googly moogly. Adios.